Welcome to 5 Star Weekly. The transfer window has ended, and have we done enough to get it right? We're getting all that more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5 Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael. And unfortunately, it was a 0-0 draw. Another winless stint at home. It just seems like we cannot do the business. It is a place where, just good results do not lie. But we'll get into it. But before we do, let's give some big shouts out to our loyal Patreon fam. Most notably Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, Chris, Nick, Jeff, and Kenneth. Thank you guys so much, as always. And yes, let's get into it. But before we do, let's give some big love to our sponsor. This segment is brought to you by Giant Sports Cards. For passionate collectors of every level, from rookies to veterans, Giant Sports Cards is the modern-day sports card shop that celebrates your love of the game, because only Giant brings the fun, treats every customer like an MVP with their GOAT level of customer service, delivers a game-changing shopping experience through technologies and amenities such as their Ultimate Collector's Cave retail shop, and offers the hottest cards at the lowest prices. Make sure to use our code FANTV and get 10% off your order. Check out Giant Sports Cards today at giantsportscards.com. And make sure to use that code FANTV right now so that you can take advantage of the 10% off. It will not be lasting very, very long. So yes, the more that you guys can help us, support us through Giant Sports Cards, the more that we can give you some of that sweet, sweet goodness. But anyway, guys, let's get into this 0-0 match against Toronto FC. Had a lot of people just talking to themselves again, I feel like, after this match. And I think a lot of people are getting to wit's end a little bit to a degree, and we'll get into why that may be the case. But the starting lineups anyway, you saw Jaden Hibbert in between the sticks, a big departure from what it normally looks like, of course, with Brad Guzan in between there. And then also ELL was injured, so Miggy started up top, Brennan on the left, Saba on the right. I mean, it's you can't say that Ronny Deila didn't try anything, right? But what were your kind of overarching thoughts on this match?
Thought it was a little bit of an experiment with that kind of lineup. I thought there could be some potential there. We heard from Ronnie basically what his idea was with putting Miguel up on the top, and I thought maybe that could actually pan out for the better for us, but unfortunately it did not. We looked pretty worse for wear on the attack. We did not have really anything going forward. Our only one shot on goal was this little lame duck pop-up that Miguel somehow got off that the goalkeeper easily grabbed up, so we were pretty toothless, unfortunately. This match overall, I was afraid if we were to lose this match, that would be pretty devastating to a lot of people. That'd be what you were kind of saying, the straw that breaks the camel's back. But we didn't. So what does that mean? I don't think it means much anything better. It still means we drew one of the worst teams in MLS at home. They don't give up a lot of goals, so it wasn't super surprising, but at the same time, we should have beat them if we were a good team. Of course, we're not, so we didn't. Again, dropping points at home. We've been over this. This is not what you do if you want to make the playoffs. Obviously, the playoffs are far out of our reach at this point. I mean, not mathematically, but any realistic appraisal of this season and how this team is, I don't think anyone honestly can say, are we going to make it B, A, and then B, do we deserve it? I don't think so. So, I guess all eyes, people are saying, all eyes on 2026. It's like this is the preseason for 2026 at this point. So I'm kind of there mentally. I feel like the results to me don't matter as much. So, drawing against Toronto at home, I'm kind of in the camp of I don't really care that much anymore. The apathy is a bit set in. I don't have expectations of winning anymore. It's more so I want to see. I think one of the other pundits said that they want to look at individual victories, not team victories. They want to look at players improving, specific players having good matches and things like that. Not so much an overall team effort, because that hasn't been coming for a long time and apparently still won't be. So
yeah,
we have to look forward to.
Right. It's a full season of that pretty much will beat you down. And essentially, that's kind of been the case, unfortunately, with a lot of, pretty much everything that's going around the club. A lot of people calling for Deila's head now. And, I don't blame them. But it is one of those things where, the roster still is as flawed as it is. And yes, you have a little bit of some burgeoning partnerships, a little bit with Mihai, with Gregerson. I think, maybe the last match notwithstanding, you saw a little bit where, there's a future where we don't concede as much, but it's there's a possibility that still it's the lines in between all that still is going to affect everything. And our midfield is still our midfield, unfortunately. It has pieces of possibly getting better with Steven Alzate, with Schleich, hopefully getting some more game time. But everyone else between that, I don't know if they're the long-term solution, really. But in terms of in this match, it just really, I think, exemplifies that. The whole midfield can be bypassed. There's not really much going on there, and we look like a team that doesn't have a striker, and that much is apparent when none of our strikers are on the pitch. Because we don't really have a focal point. They just kind of are, kind of played around. What was your estimation of Miggy as the false nine?
I think if I saw this correctly, someone in our Discord posted that I think Miguel Almiron had, like, in the final or in the opponent's half, I think, or maybe just in general, had the most progressive passes of any player on our team. And he is the striker. Well, false nine, but still was in the furthest most position. You'd think that type of player isn't the one doing the most progressive passing, but lo and behold, that's what it ended up being. So, we've seen this before with other strikers in the past, with other formations. We've seen Yorgos Yakimakis, even Thiago Almada, not being a striker, but would still, a lot of our attacking pieces we'd see having to come way back in to help with the build-up, because the midfield isn't able to do it on their own a lot of times. So we saw it again here, and Miguel he's said it before, and he will continue to do this. He goes where the ball is. And if the ball needs to get brought up, he's going to go to where it is and not be... And then... foreseeably, he'll then run right back up to the top and be like, okay, now I can... It's almost like he feels he has to facilitate it all the way up at every stage of the ball's, like, birth to adolescence to old age, so he's got to be there for it the whole time.
It's definitely he absolutely goes to where the ball is, and it's an astute point for sure, because I think ultimately Miggy, he can make off the ball runs. He can be a player that helps in the build up and getting through traffic as well. But ultimately, there's just something broken within that and the rest of the team. And Saba, Luke Brennan aren't mistaken to be just like bagging goals left and right, But it is that too. I mean, those two players. It's if you are gonna play a false nine, you need your wingers to score, or your your number 10 also to get in those scoring positions as well. And it just seems like that's not the case either. It's just I think if we had tried it for a little bit longer, as far as more training, more looks within it, I can maybe get behind it a little bit. But I think ultimately, it's a one-off. It's Tiare was not really match fit. Keima Togashi not really probably trusted fully to start the full match, but I wonder why a little bit, because I think everything that we've seen from Keima Togashi seems like okay. I mean, let's see what we got there at least, because we know there's a guy that's going to work very, very hard, and at the very least, we know he can put a header away, and that at this level, I mean, maybe is what we need at some points. So to go a little Route 1, to go a little bit more simplified. But playing a false nine when there's larger problems at stake, I think it probably was a little bit of a foolhardy kind of mission, but is what it is. I mean,
I don't even think it matters, because if we won with a false nine formation, if we won like 1-0 or whatever, 2-0, I think that just puts a false understanding of the state of the team in people's heads, as if like the false nine is like, oh, that's what we need to do to win. Like, I don't necessarily think so. Toronto is also not a good yardstick in which to measure yourself by. So I never thought that we could glean a lot from this game. Even if we were to win, it's like big deal. It is a battle of the mid teams. To talk about ELL for a second. Some people were saying on Twitter or X, it's like, look how toothless we are without him. I don't think he would have done much better, unfortunately. With his form, I think he still has the troubles that he's been having. I don't think that would have really changed for this game, because I don't think we created a lot in terms of good opportunities for people to score. We had some, but they didn't materialize. There's a good amount of block shots, as there always is for us. So there's that too. People get just in the way, just enough. But it's interesting, because if you ever do get those shots off, they might go through someone's legs. Goalie is screened a bit, can't react in time. Those could be dangerous, but they almost always blocked. Once in a while, I feel like I've seen Moranchuk or even Miguel maybe once or so, score like that, where they just shoot it through traffic and the goalie just can't see it in time. So, but that's a low probability thing. Like I said, not a good chance. But that's what we were kind of given. We were given scraps to nip at this game, because I don't know whether that being, I mean, it had to be one of two parts: Toronto's decent defense in that, and our offense not being on the same page still. Yeah.
And I think it's consistently anemic. It's really, I think, really what it is. And for us, it's like, when you basically look absolutely, like we said, toothless, and there's really no clear-cut chance at all in this match. It just comes across as a, like, how in this part of the season it is still looking like this. And it being that case, I think is rife for a lot of people to be kind of up in arms about Ronny Deila. And again, I don't blame them. Whether I agree that any move is going to be made or not, and whether in this part of the season, in which case, like, if you sack him, then what? So what? Like, what does it achieve?
Yeah.
And
it's one of these. It achieves a short-term gratification. That's all it achieves.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fix anything long term, unfortunately.
Right. And I think that's the main crux of it, is like that is super important for the context of everything. Yeah, so as far as kind of, I guess, some parting things with this this match, I mean, yes, there were a lot of block shots. Yeah, both keepers.
Yeah, I want to say just real quick, I didn't realize how stingy Toronto actually is, because I mentioned that they don't let a lot of goals in. I didn't realize how good they were at it. They've only let 34 goals in against them this season so far. That's a team in the playoffs level of not letting goals in. That's pretty good. Obviously they don't score a lot. That's why they are where they are. But being defensive, that's pretty good. I mean, we're at 49, I think, that we've let in goals against. Most teams in this part of the table, the lower part, they let in like 40, 50 goals. They're at 34, Comparatively, Nashville in third place has 32. And Cincinnati has 35. Like, they're pretty good at keeping goals out. So, I mean, no one really should have expected us to score in this game. We're not scoring a lot or well, and apparently Toronto is pretty darn stingy.
Yeah, and they're pretty bad at scoring as well, so it was kind of the perfect confluence of all of those factors where, yeah, it was going to be destined for a 0-0. And, of course, Jaden Hibbert, maybe not of course, but, I mean, he's been looking pretty good. And, it's as far as getting down quickly, as far as distribution, as far as control inside the box, I'm not really having a ton of complaints.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Is there anything you do think that he is struggling with? Because I don't see anything. I didn't see anything that I went like, oop, there's a weak spot. That's the weak spot that we need to worry about.
Yeah. I think seeing him in kind of moments where he's pressed a lot more, where he maybe doesn't have as much time to get the ball off. I want to see him in, I think, those type of moments, and varied type of distribution. So, I don't think we really had a fast counter where
no, Toronto didn't press at all.
Right, and so I think that definitely helps him, and it's a little bit part of why it looked the way it did. But I think it's also, I think if we can see him, kick it long, like really try to reach Emmanuel Atl with a goal kick, that would be interesting. Maybe a in traffic, to the number 6. I think a lot of that is more like distribution related, which, is more kind of a new age type of goalkeeper type of thing. But yeah, larger part, I didn't really have many qualms with him in this match. Like he did a really great job. I think doing enough of the goalkeeper things to keep a clean sheet. So, but what about for you?
Like I said, I didn't really see anything that stood out to me as oh no, like that's why he's not the number 1, that kind of thing. In this case, he's made an argument for why he shouldn't be the number 1, especially with eyes on the future of him being the goalkeeper of this franchise. I mean, I want to say hopefully, because, Chris Henderson, his talk about potentially looking at a new number 1, he didn't mention Jaden by name, but I mean, looking at could be internally, could be externally, who knows, and obviously you don't want to just say, here's Jaden, you get the job immediately, because, you need to keep him working. So overall, I thought he did very good this game. Like to see more, and hopefully we get to see more, with eyes on him getting experience and chemistry with the team for next season, if he ends up being the number 1, which I kind of think I'm on the side of hopefully he will be, because I think he'd be an interesting goalkeeper to have. It'd be neat. And also, I think we'll probably see him until, I kind of hope until the last game, where perhaps we'll do a send-off for Brad Guzan on the last game. So at the very least, we'll see Brad again at least once, if that is what happens.
Yeah, because there is the chatter from Chris Henderson. He spoke with the media. He mentioned that they're not only looking at new number ones for goalkeepers, but that Braguzan deserves a kind of hero's send off, an iconic send off, because he is that for Atl United. He is the longest standing Atl United captain as well. So yeah, the moment isn't lost on Henderson. So I think that part's good, especially, there might be, I think, not might be, there will definitely be some meaningless games at the end of the season. And there will be moments where I think Braguzan will be able to be, plotted for, the person that he is, the player that he's been for the franchise. But it's also, I think, whether it is Jaden Hibbert, whether it's Josh Cohen, which probably not, but you don't want to completely, I think Henderson was very careful and meticulous with his wording and noting that, it is up for grabs, because a new number one, whether it's like Mike saying internal or external, that's it will be something that they're looking at, and may the best man win, and I think that's great. That's what it's needed to be for quite some time. But to wrap up this match, this was the third clean sheet of the 2025 season. That's pretty damning. But yep, it is third.
It's not good, Bob.
That's not good. That's not good. But yep. Up next, Atl United will face Nashville SC on the 30th, and we will have that match preview later on for you in this episode. But first bit of news is that Atl United our playoff odds. Basically, we're eliminated from MLS Cup playoff contention with a loss draw at Nashville and a New York Red Bulls win versus Columbus Crew. So, yep.
Yeah. Two conditions need to happen.
Yep. And it's pretty likely, unfortunately, that we will draw on the road. New York win versus Columbus Crew. That could be a little bit different of a. I think that might be a little bit more of a 50-50. But
I feel like Columbus likely will win. I think it's more likely than not they will win.
Yeah, there could be. But it's definitely more likely that happens than we win on the road. So.
Oh, we're not winning against Nashville? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So
we'll get to that.
They don't.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But anyway, defender Ronaldo Hernandez, he has been called up for Venezuela. I have 2 World Cup 26 qualifiers against Argentina and Colombia. So congrats to Hernandez there. Atl Utd has also been called up for Georgia, amongst some of the other players that have been called up for this, what most term pretty much a very, very inconsequential international window. But, Venezuela with Argentina and Colombia, that's definitely an important one. But for most of Europe and probably some of the other countries and regions, this isn't exactly one that most people want to go on, but
Venezuela that's World Cup qualifier, right?
Yeah, so that at the very least will be important for them. But yeah, next bit of news: Tom Bogert, he mentioned that Atl United Academy goalkeeper James Donaldson has signed his first pro contract. Deal is with MLS Next Pro. And then turns into a first-team homegrown deal ahead of the 2027 season. Donaldson is 16, and he's also eligible for England. So definitely a talent on our hands. And I definitely foresee it's like, if Jaden Hibbert isn't the guy, and if this kid can, I think, figure out what he needs to be at the top level, a top goalkeeper, I think he has every bit of a chance to kind of make a stake for the team in the next couple of years. So it will be very, very interesting. Even though at 16, very tender age and probably very early for most goalkeepers. Well, I think we've seen the likes of Chicago Fire, the likes of New England Revolution, move on goalkeepers to Europe very, very quickly, and them kind of get picked up by the likes of Chelsea and those teams. So whether
we'll trade him for 150,000 in GAM. Don't worry.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not gonna be very much.
That's the cynic in me with the whole.
Right.
Our the past history of us giving away a lot of our homegrowns and things recently. So there's a lot of cynicism in our Discord community about throwing our quote unquote talent away and not prioritizing our homegrowns or academy or twos, developing them to play on the actual first team. So.
Yeah. And especially when we are playing as poor as we are. I mean, let's get into it. As far as our transfer window, this seems like as good of a segue as any. So basically our outgoing players, Edwin Mosquera, of course, Mateus Klick, Efrain Morales, Luis Abram, Noah Cobb, Derek Williams, all exited this transfer window. And of course, we brought in Enia Mihai, Steven Alzate, Leo Alfonso, Juan Berrocal, Nick Sisak, the right back, left back, and Cooper Sanchez, the midfielder, both from the twos, Sanchez as a homegrown. But obviously Noah Cobb, Efrain Morales, two players that have not seen maybe as much playing time as others would have wanted them to, especially in our defensive frailties. But I think most people probably complaining about Morales and Cobb. That was a throw to you, Mike, but all good.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. But didn't have a great question in there, so I will do better on the question, which is for you. Yeah, which one do you feel like Atl Utd will miss the most? Going forward.
The most? That's tricky. I don't know. I don't know if you could say, maybe. I like Efrain Morales probably a little more, but that's because I think his height is something that's a little bit more helpful on like the attack, as well as obviously he's been pretty darn good on defense. And of course, not taking anything away from Noah, he's been good too. They're pretty, when they came in, when they did their jobs, they did them adequately, professionally, and I didn't have too much to take away from their performances, especially when they were almost out-competing the guys making 6 times as much as them, etc., like things like that, and were better voices in the locker room. So I will point to Luis Abram as not being the best in the locker room, whereas you heard Noah Cobb in at least one of the Root in the Stripes stand up and try and be a leader. So for what that's worth, I think both. I think they'll probably be missed by the team as being defensive pieces that it can call upon in a pinch. Efrain Morales, he hasn't really scored, but he looked like he tried to and wanted to several times, so that's always good to have in a backup. So I think probably to answer your question, Efrain probably, but again, I just feel like it's a distinction without a difference, really. They're both pretty good and pretty similar to me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely different types of dynamics going on with each player, but I mean, Noah Cobb rather, is that player that's good on the ball. I think that's why Colorado Rapids want him. You basically have someone that can help you build up, and it's very much, I think, needed in a possession-based side. Does he have some of those frailties that might be kind of not what we need per se? I think that's maybe why yeah, he is loaned out. There is a possibility of that loan becoming a permanent transfer. But Efrain Morales, I think just with the raw tools that he's got, his size, pretty decent on the ball as well, being able to pass it with both his right and his left. Yeah, I mean, I think a goal threat. Obviously, he scored almost immediately when he got transferred over to CF Montreal. So, yeah, I mean, it's these pieces that I think you'd rather see Atlanta United grow with instead of maybe paying a little bit premium for when we're not in a good moment. I mean, might as well try to build up your own guys. But, yeah, I think that's the real conundrum here. Is that, it's like the roster's been kind of, I guess, restocked, but with guys that are definitely in their prime. I think markedly showing that they're not that frail in the sense that, they've played a lot of games, with the teams that they've been with. So, at least from a injured standpoint, they're not someone that is constantly there on the injured list. So that part is good. But then also, I guess you have the likes of like Nick Cisak, who, likely very much just depth. But, I would say as far as incoming, which, incoming and outgoing, the number of players, I mean, I think we had about 11 or 12 players come in and out of the team this transfer window, which is a pretty good number of players. I mean, that's that's at least more than half of a starting 11, in a sense, if we did it right. But, do you feel like we did it right?
You know what I call that? I call that a good start. So I want to see what we do with more of that later on, because I don't think the job is done yet. Like when we talked about before, where there's like a culture issue with the team. The way that kind of works, I guess, is the way I'm kind of understanding it, is that you need to get rid of a certain threshold of players that are negatively affecting the culture of the team before you start to see improvements. Like it's, I don't want to use that analogy. That's too grim. But anyway, like it's the idea that, if you don't take out enough of it, it'll come back or remain there. So you kind of have to excise it as almost a whole. So that's what because like if not, new player comes in, there's a chance that they just adopt the culture that is now still there, which is a negative one. So instead of killing it or removing it, you're allowing it to grow or to infect a new person who comes in. So that's why you really gotta get rid of it, and all of it, or at least as much as you can of it as soon as you can, so you can do. A lot of people are saying, oh, we gotta have expansion team mentality with cutting as much as we can and get as much new as we can, and I pretty much agree with that. And if that's what it has to take to restart this franchise on the right foot, just with new guys and new perspectives and new mentalities, I think that is something that should be really looked at, and I think Chris Henderson seems to be doing that.
So you're advocating for throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So, okay, noted.
Yes, because there sure are good players and there sure are good things that the team is doing. They exist. There are not a lot of them, but they're there. And so. And then some players who are just, having a rough time, or we know are good and, just need something else to kick into high gear. I think that there's a good chance that they'll come good, like Emmanuel Latte-Lot. So, and I even think maybe Miguel to a certain extent. So I think, even though I'm kind of carrying the banner of, throw it all out and restart. So even if they did get rid of like Moranchuk or Miguel, I'd be like, that's kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but it's also not probably something to be terribly opposed to. Like if that's what it needs, if that's what the team needs, that's what I'm going to go with. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, it's just like, dang, now we have new problems to worry about.
I mean, it's definitely interesting. I mean, yeah, it's a mindset of how to fix this team, and I don't know if any of us have the right answers. It's just a matter of like, it's almost sticking something on the wall and see if it sticks, or throwing something on the wall and see if it sticks at this point. Because, Lord knows we've tried a lot of things, but yeah, I mean, as far as I guess my assessment of the transfer window, I mean. Yeah, I think it's a pretty fair agreement that, yes, it's a good start. We've addressed, seemingly in some ways, what we've needed, but whether it's the correct thing is going to remain to be seen. But, yes, definitely, in central midfield, in central defense, were definitely main problems. We were breached way too easily on a consistent basis that really made it difficult to get a favorable game state most times. And when you're just getting bamboozled every single match, when you're up, when you're behind, when it's even, like, you're just like, how can you get your mindset right to even try to win the match if it seems like it's coming from all sides? And yeah, it's at the very least, with a new center back core, it seems like, okay, we can at least not have maybe the same similar issues pop up every single match. I mean, I think the issues that we've seen a little bit different. So at least we have that, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean, outside of Barakal's one ridiculous, fluke performance, or that one moment in that game, all of them looked good. They looked, like improvements. So, that could also just be like, oh God, I'm just thinking like it's that similar feeling we had when we had Zonde and Tristan come in.
Yep.
And then there was they did pretty well, and then the regression happened.
Yeah. And
that's what I'm concerned about, is whether or not that regression, because like they looked, like I said, improvements, but so did Zonde and so did Tristan. So then hopefully they can maintain that. And I think also people were a little harsh on Barakal, but I don't think that is his typical. I don't think he's just, a fluke machine or a gaff machine. So it's still, too early to say about all three of them. But so far, I think outside of that one moment, they've all looked like improvements / upgrades, and I'm pretty happy with them so far.
Yeah, I mean, Barakal, any defender worth their salt is not going to concede a penalty every single match. So, anything is better, obviously. But with Barakal, I think it was obvious that he was trying to do too much. He was trying to get involved in the game instantaneously, and unfortunately he did. He made an instant impact by conceding the penalty, by being overzealous and going to ground in the box. I mean, just, really not the smartest thing when you come right back into a match. It's just, you expect a little bit more level-headedness, and, hopefully someone that I think in the future, when he's coming in, watching the match and seeing, getting game speed essentially as much as possible. But so I guess to give it a grade out of A through F, what would you give it?
I'll kind of rate it twice. The first one being, did the team and the club identify the needs that the team needed, and did they solve those needs correctly? I think that they got like an A+ with that. I think they looked at what they needed and they went out and got the right kind of, in their mind, what they saw in the marketplace of guys who could do the job, and it would make sense. I think that was an astute, way of or result. And so I'm happy with their methodology that way. It seems like it made sense to me. Now, whether or not those guys actually, there's that scary potentiality of a regression next season that we seem to have with a lot of our new players. Barring a catastrophe like that, hopefully they do well. Like I said, they, you know, I can't say, you know, whether they'll stay good or not. But if they do, I mean, again, that we could be looking at like another, let's say like we could B plus A minus overall, you know, for them. But right now, because I'm not sure, I'll say a B. Barakal kind of took that down a tiny bit with that penalty, but outside of that, I think it's like a B. But what I think Chris was trying to do in his execution of it, from the front office point of view, I thought you could call that like close to an A plus. Like, made sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think the intent was there with what they were trying to fix. The execution probably is more with timing, and it's really always difficult, I think, with MLS. But I think I give it a B minus. It's a you know, we addressed some of the things. We got rid of some of the players that we needed to in Click with Mosquera. Even Derek Williams to that end where it's okay, yeah, as silly as a you know, a sell-on fee is for Derek Williams moving on in Europe, it's like I highly doubt someone is going to you know, pay a transfer fee for Derek Williams in the future. But in the event that it does, we will get something for him if that ever does happen. But you know, to basically lose really nobody out of your starting 11 per se, and you know, gain probably a couple of you know, starters in Alzate, in Mihai, I think is a pretty good window. But does it solve our problems with not being able to score goals? Not really yet. And you know, it does help on one end. You're trying to, you know, secure your foundation a little bit, so that, yeah, like I mentioned, you don't get game stated constantly. So yeah, you can, you know, build on some of the better moments in the match by keeping the other team out off the score sheet, and then finally, yeah, if you're able to get on the score sheet yourself, then great, fantastic. So to that end, I can get behind it to where, okay, yeah, secure your foundation first, and then, you know, platform off of that. But is it by any means a perfect window? No. Do we need to do more? Yeah. Were we in a place to be able to do that much more? Unfortunately, probably not, with all 3 DP spots already taken up, and you know, likely not going anywhere as well. It's, yeah, you know, as much wiggle room as you can with maneuvering with the roster structures, with, you know, the types of players that are on higher wages at our club. So, you know, until they basically can be moved on, that's really, I think, you know, this winter transfer window is going to be really, really huge in how, like, how we can really reshape the roster without possibly messing with the DPs, which we might need to, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into the twos. Atl Utd 2, they fell 2-1 to Orlando City 2, or B rather, in the third and final matchup of the season. Patrick Weah provided his 4th goal contribution as many games, while Santiago Pita provided his first professional assist. And they also won against Inter Miami CF2 on Wednesday 4-1. And yeah, I mean, basically, it seems like Atl Utd 2 are playing better than the first team, unfortunately. So
Unified team is playing better. The twos are playing better. You and I are playing better. It's crazy.
Yeah. Unified is definitely playing better because they're undefeated. So, you know, that's just on a special thing. But yeah, let's get into the mailbag, and you guys send in these questions through Discord and IG story, and please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. But first question comes from Slavic GGEZ, and he gets the first question because he is a high-tiered Patreon member. But he asks, if you could change one MLS rule, salary cap, playoff format, DP spots, etc., which would you change, and which team do you feel like would abuse the rule change the most? Answer will, of course, be Miami, but still.
What rule would I change? I'd have to really think about it if I wanted like an actual like game rule to be changed. I'd have to really think about that. I don't know if the answer would be particularly interesting. But I obviously, this is something I've wanted. You mentioned it in the question as an option, and I'm going to pick it, is the DP slots. Open up the DP slots for teams. Obviously, I mean, I think teams that who aren't the big, marquee cities, like Miami, New York, Toronto, LA, all these big cities that can like attract massive DP talent and then have them play for like pennies, at their team. Like obviously Atlanta is not able to do that. A lot of the other cities are not able to seemingly do that. When we want to get big players, they have to be DP contracts. And so, give us the ability to have more of them. And so that way, I think we would be able to make most use of it, just like other teams that can't attract like big name guys who want to come there to play for pennies or whatever. I think that would be a boon for us and a lot of the other teams that, aren't like Miami, New York, LA, because, the players just want to move there and live there / retire there or what have you. So.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree there that the DP spots, the salary cap, essentially, if we maybe didn't do away with it, but definitely if you allowed the teams that want to spend, and basically, in one sense, it's the teams that, they don't want to get into a spending spree where every team has to spend in order to be successful, because that slippery slope or that never-ending well will just go on forever. But I think there is some sort of loosening of the belt here that can definitely, I think, change this league for the better, where you don't see the likes of an LA Galaxy from one year to the next go from world beaters to completely laughing stock. And while that might be entertaining for, I think, the rest of, I think the league and the fans, but it's, for LA Galaxy's fan base, which, they've been able to hang on in spite of that anyway. But, it's some of these have never really been able to recover, really. And, or even ones that are, almost always innately successful, but I think, they were successful, but in spite of. So, like, say, New England Revolution, it's like they were good, but they were able to be good by not having out and out just absolute stars. That's, I think they built it up the right way in that sense, but it seems like that's more of a talent that, of course you have like, the Tom Brady's of the world and all that. But, it seems a little bit more where you need a star in there in order for people to care. Because, you have some homegrowns and some people that, have played it the right way, but ultimately it didn't capture the imagination of, the locals. And I think that's still every bit important too. And so, obviously we did it a different way, but, it's now seemingly more and more like we're going back to the MLS 2.0 route, where, David Beckham, and ironically, it's because of them. It's him bringing Lionel Messi into the fray that has basically made it the way it is. And so, there likely should be, some more changes, especially so that, the rest of the league doesn't feel like they're just getting, there's a ton of special treatment, essentially. But, next question comes from, let's see, Unbanned Colo. Is Luke Brennan the
Not
future?
gonna happen. Is Luke Brennan the future? He is the present, so I'll give him that for sure. I don't know if he's going. It's, you know, we signed Alfonso. We have Luke Brennan. I would really like it if we were to get a, you know, like a high TAM left wing next season, another goal scoring threat on the left side. I feel like we haven't had that in forever. That would be interesting, but then that puts obviously Luke Brennan and Alfonso down on the depth charts, which is unfortunate. But that's a very Atlanta United thing to do, is to just like restock the coffers of these, you know, like kind of, it's like a starter, a MLS veteran kind of backup guy, and then our homegrown, and the homegrowns never see any minutes. And that's tough. That's always tough for them. And that's why I feel like, you know, we move on, you know, where they get out of here and go somewhere else because of not seeing the minutes. Should Luke Brennan probably be higher in the depth chart? Probably. It's like, why do you? So if you wanted to get a tammable left wing for next season, then why get Alfonso? Is confusing to me, because then you have like 3 on the left. I would rather just have like, you know, Luke being the backup and then the starter instead of a middle guy like Alfonso. But I guess it's, you know, more redundancies because they're worried about injuries and things like that. So you have like 3 guys per position or something like this. So it is what it is. I would still prefer, you know, Luke to be having a more significant time next season. But again, I could just see a world where they're like, well, we're going to go out and get a tammable left wing or something, and then he never sees the light of day after that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think Alfonso and what he probably means to the rest of the roster is probably, in some respects, it's a prospect that obviously, you know, we were able to buy low on, and Chris Henderson knows very well from, you know, drafting him that, okay, yeah, he has some potential to be someone that I think most of Inter Miami probably doesn't think as highly of as Chris Henderson does of Alfonso. But yeah, and with Luke Brennan, I think it's definitely interesting because it's like, yeah, he does need to probably have a little bit more in product, probably. But, you know, to have a guy like him, you know, that is a homegrown, that is contributing, and I think on both sides, I think it's fantastic. Now he just has to outright win a spot versus, you know, the DPs that he's, or, you know, a high TAM player that he's competing against. And, you know, I think at this point, yeah, he is the present. He has to work at being the future because, yeah, it's not going to be given. It's just like any spot on this team, it should be a meritocracy. And, you know, if it's a, you know, high TAM player that wins a spot, or if we bring a new DP, frankly, I won't care who it is. I just want players that produce for Atl Utd. And,
Yeah.
you know, like,
and if we could have it where homegrowns can also contribute in that scenario as well as just having players that work, then all right. But I agree with you. The first priority is the team winning.
yeah. And yeah, if that includes homegrowns or other players that you know, are part of our academy, then fantastic. That's really great, but should not be the main focus. Let's see. Next question comes from Deck Fam Sam. Miggy hasn't scored since May 3rd, and Mira has no assists since May 25th. Why does wait for my screen to return? Deila continue to view Miggy as an option at striker, and why aren't we asking more of Mira as the 10?
I mean, he's not continuing to see Miggy as an option at striker. He did it once. So I don't really think he's probably going to do it again, and he only had to do it because he was forced to. Well, kind of forced to. So could have done Cayman Tagashi or, you know, something like that. But Yeah, he went with Miguel. I don't know if we'll see that very often again. I don't think you're going to have to worry about like hemming and hawing about Miguel being at the 9 or something like that for extended periods of time.
Yeah. But Mira as the 10, I think that's, yeah, you know, he's been producing as a second striker. We'll give him that. But yes, he absolutely should be getting more assists if he is playing in the hole, if he is, you know, trying to pull the strings. And that, yeah, I think what he's pointing out is that there are some, I guess, obvious things in the score sheet that both players are not doing. Both players are very much imperfect since they've been with Atl Utd. And yeah, you know, it's like our leading assist maker is Saba. So it's, you know, who's been playing on the wing and, you know, has mostly produced a lot of it from the right wing. It's just, yeah, it's hilarious. There's just so many things that have gone wrong with, you know, every single player that it's an incredulous thing. Like, these players just don't fit together. That much is obvious. But yeah. Yep. Next question comes from Nick in the ATL. Sorry, I would have asked this question sooner if I'd seen it. But what is Hibbert's real potential in goal? Will he be the starting goalkeeper next season, or will the FO seek another goalkeeper?
Like we said earlier, we don't know based on what Chris said. But if I was a betting man, I'd probably wager Hibbert is selected as the number 1. That would be cool. That would be really cool if that was the case. And we didn't just go out and get like a high TAM goalkeeper. I feel like that's not the play. I feel like run Hibbert and spend that money elsewhere on the squad. I just feel like that's probably the better move. But I could also see this franchise, because in the past it kind of has done this, is just to be very, very careful and stocking the team, you know, all up and down the spine with like highly paid players, and instead of like kind of taking chances on guys. So they play, you know, they go careful instead of experimental, or, you know, whatever. So I hope that's not the case. I hope they just can pick Hibbert and go with that. That would be cool next season. That's what my hope is, and I think that's a lot of people's hope. I think it's something that a lot of people want to see, and you know, it also could not work out, and that'll be a season where we learn something, unfortunately, about Jaden Hibbert we didn't know about. But I think at least it might be an interesting experiment.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be very good for the salary structure for this team. You know, it'll be, if we go with him, obviously he will not be paid as much as you know, most of the other goalkeepers in this league. I think the real question is who's going to be his backup, because they might be paid more than he is, and so that would be very interesting. I would probably bet that there's a new starting goalkeeper, but I think that there might be a fight for who's got the number 1 shirt. So, you know, obviously whoever's brought in, if they're on high TAM money, they're likely going to get the job. But, you know, I think it's up to Hibbert to really, I think, ball out in these next matches to really kind of solidify as one of, if not the answer at the goalkeeping position. Otherwise, yeah, it really could kind of steer Henderson more in the direction of somebody outside of the team. But let's see. Next question comes from, I mean, pretty much both Alex, Austin, 18, and Land Guy in ATL. How much longer does Ronny really have? When is the coach getting let go? Pretty much everyone's asking this question. And,
yeah,
you know, I think we might as well address it a little bit.
Yeah, this is the big thing everyone's talking about. And, you know, like I have a bet with Glenn from the 5 Takes podcast where, you know, if Ronny gets fired before the season ends, I lose and I owe him a beer. and if he stays on / if he gets fired the day after the season ends, if anything happens like that, then he owes me one. So obviously that tells you where my head was at earlier when I made that bet early in the season. And I think that, it hasn't stayed the same, my appraisal of that. I think I am not as confident anymore. And I know a lot of what our confidence had come from, and you heard it on this podcast before during the season, that, we've heard from people at the club and whispers around the club, like Joe Patrick saying he's overheard things, and, Chris recently and other people talking about how the DPs are pretty much safe and the coach is pretty much safe. And so there's been a lot of that, but things do and can change. In this case, the things that would need to change in order for him to then be fired seems like they might be happening. So that's why I'm like, that could be a possibility now. That's why I'm not as confident anymore. I mean, when you're the front office saying, like, we know this is pretty much a lost season. This didn't go the way we were expecting, but we don't think the coach is the problem necessarily. So we're going to keep him on and then, retool to try and do better next season. I think that's where their head was at. But now that they see the results just start getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, if you lose like every game for the rest of the season, or don't get a win for the rest of the season, it's, even from their point of view, it's gotta be hard to look yourself in the mirror and say, we gotta still keep him though. Like, that's tough. So who knows? At this point, I'm nowhere as confident as I was, but I made that bet. I'm just going to stick with it. But I still think he likely will stick around, even if things go as bad as they could potentially go. But yeah, I'm nowhere as confident as I used to be.
Yeah, and it's also that it's like, he has to win some matches. It's really, if he doesn't, it's like you're saying, it's really hard to justify from any standpoint, from any optic standpoint. Yeah. Like, basically, like, you got to have some sort of, and I harp on this a good bit because I think it's important. How do you get the casual fans to be on board? They know who the head coach is. And they will see that, okay, if that head coach is still there after losing that many games or not winning games, really at all, I think there's going to be a lot of people that pass. They're going to be like, well, what really has changed? And so it will be, I think from that standpoint, they will have to see, okay, well, prove it to me in a few more games. Okay, maybe I'll check in half, mid-season or something. I think it's like you're asking for a lot from the casual fans at that point, and I think
and the casual fans can really only be like swayed by big, DP signings, new coaches, things of this sort. So I'm really curious from like a marketing perspective, what's going in through the minds of the boardroom members and things, like, what is their narrative for next season to try and get people on board again? Yeah. Most seasons they had things. They had things to trot out to be like, here, this is why you need to come back, etc., etc. But I mean, I don't really see what, if Brad Guzan leaves, it's like, well, you no longer have a guy like that. Miguel Almiron is not the reason people will be coming back anymore. Emmanuel Latila definitely is not. I mean, no one has really sold themselves to the casual as like this is something to be excited about right now on this team. And Ronny, like you said, really did not drape himself in glory this season. So people are not going to be excited to see him back either. Oh wow, this club, I can already hear it. This club is okay with mediocrity, and it actually probably a little worse than mediocrity at this point. But I don't really know what the narrative would be to get them to come back to be interested next season.
Right. And I think, like I've said, it's very, very important because, the diehards are going to be there. Like, it's already a given, but slowly losing more and more diehards. And that's really the problem that they really have to assess. Like, you have to weigh pretty much what are you willing to lose. And right now, they are hemorrhaging a lot. And it's tough. It's a super tough. It's a little bit morose. But, yeah, let's move on from the mailbag. Thank you guys for sending in those questions. Let's get into the match preview. It's 8:30 Saturday, August 30th, Jodas Park against Nashville SC. 14th place, that's us, with a negative 18 goal difference, versus third place, that's Nashville SC, with a plus 17 goal difference. So, yep, it's about as lopsided as it comes. It's yeah, this should be David versus Goliath, one-way traffic, but it's a derby game. So, you know, it may or may not go that way if we can treat it that way. But the last match for Nashville, they played to a 5-1 win versus Orlando. And we last played Nashville on May 3rd of 2025 to a 1-1 draw. So, yeah, we have beat them once in our last 6, drew 3 times, and then lost twice. So, yeah, Nashville, they're doing a lot right now. And, yeah, you know, 3rd in the Eastern Conference. No one really expected them to be there, per se. But, yeah, you know, they're a side that I think we've known for quite some time that, you know, they are not only good at defending, but, you know, from an attacking standpoint, they have improved very much this season. With key departures from last season with Annabelle Godoy, Sean Davis, Randall Leal, Lucas McNaughton, Shaq Moore. They brought in Brian Acosta, Gaston Brugman, Jason Palacios, Andy Nahar, Ahmed Kasem, Edward Tagseth. All players that, yeah, have been definitely contributing well to basically the 4-4-2 that Nashville like to play. Mokhtar, the talisman, the danger man for sure, still. But, you know, aside that... Go ahead.
You sure he's the danger man for sure? Because I would say someone named Sam Surridge, the literal golden boot leader, is what I would consider to be the danger man. The fact that we're going up against the golden boot leader at 20 goals this season so far, that's scary. That's gonna really make me think that we're not gonna have a great time over in Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very big test for our center backs for sure. They will absolutely have to come ready because, yeah, I mean, this team really good at finishing scoring chances. They're not only good at attacking set pieces, but also very good at defending set pieces. And so, yeah, you know, a lot of chances through balls as well, through the individual skill like Mokhtar and Surridge. It's gonna be a lot to contend with, and they don't rotate a ton. It's probably gonna be Surridge. It's probably gonna be Mokhtar. Guys, we haven't won in 11 matches. Like yeah, and also there have been 2.5 goals scored in Nashville's last 3 games, so there also likely will be goals. And you know, as far as who scored and what they've prognosticated, Nashville, they might score from an opposition error, a set piece situation, or as a result of...
I just saw you smile when you said that.
Yes.
An opposition error, huh? Yeah, I know about those.
Yep. And as a result of individual skill. So all those things should probably give you some PTSD. And, yeah, you know, 2.5 goals scored. Man, that might just be on one side, to be honest. But Whew. Anyway, so the odds are, according to Bet365, a home win of 64.5%, a draw at 23.1%, and an away win at 18.2%, which, yep, sounds about right. Sounds about right, unfortunately. It's, yeah, we have it going against us in this match for sure. And especially if we don't have some players that are hopefully healthy, but likely not. Manuel Atl, he was dealing with a hamstring injury. Those don't usually go away in 1 week, so I'm imagining he's probably not going to be in that starting 11 or starting from the bench. Matt Edwards and Jay Fortune also have been out, so yeah, that seems like mostly the players that are out. Let's get into the predicted starting 11. And for once, I think we might actually, I don't know, who's going to be in between the sticks? What do you think?
I want to say Jaden Hibbert. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's probably going to be as well.
I mean, I could see an argument for it not being Jaden Hibbert because, like, this is a game that could potentially ruin a goalie. Like, as a young goalie, this could destroy your confidence if they run up the score on you. Yeah. So I don't necessarily want that for Jaden. So, you know, Deila might go, Brad can take it. You know, he can remain composed and whatever, even if it's a torrent of goals, but, you know, and not have it affect his performance in the future. But I mean, like, why throw Jaden out against the Lions like that? I mean, I could see them saying that, but I you know, this is what he wants. This is what Jaden wants, right? Is to be a professional goalkeeper against good teams to get better. This is how it happens. So yeah, it's in a rough spot, rough place, but I mean, you should welcome challenges like this. Is what it means to be a professional at this level. So, like, you should want this. I know it might be devastating or scarring, but, like, you know, you take your lumps, and hopefully if he's you know, if Jaden is meaning to be a professional in his life, he can, you know, roll with them and continue on and learn from it and grow.
Exactly. I think it's you can't hide in this moment. Basically, if again he wants to starter minutes, well, then you have to, you know, get in there. Yeah. Like Mike's saying, take those lumps, and hopefully they're not lumps. Hopefully he can, you know, show some of the difference. Maybe that's kind of what we've been needing, is someone that can actually, when we need that goalkeeper to make a very, very big stop, that it happens. And it's not where, okay, yeah, we could have saved that one. Oh, man. Wish he could have just got down fast enough. Man, really wish he, you know, didn't come storming outside of the box like that. And, yeah, I mean, just so many of those things. But anyway, yeah, Hibbert, between the sticks. Yeah, let's get into who might start in the fullback positions. If you're going with a four-back, I assume you are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fullbacks. Who do you got?
So Pedro Amador on the left side, and then so when is the so yeah, I guess Ronald, because yeah, and yeah, there's the fullbacks. So
okay,
I was like,
yeah,
wait,
I thought you were going somewhere else with
break
that,
is not now. No, I was like, international break is not. He's not going to Venezuela. Just
no,
yet,
he's
so,
not.
yeah.
Yeah. It's after this match, but yeah, I would go with Ronald Hernandez as well, and Amador as the fullbacks. It definitely seems like there's been a little bit more solidity. There's been also less kind of the very, very predictable passing patterns that we used to have, obviously. So, yeah, gonna go with that. Gregerson and Mihai for the center backs, or anybody different?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that pairing, it's probably the one for the future, and so, you know, we might as well try to figure out how well they can do together and next to each other, so that they can gain more of an understanding, so that next season, yeah, we won't have any of these betting issues that we obviously had this season. But into midfield, what do you have?
I want to say Alzate and Sleesh because that's who I think needs to be there.
Yeah.
Whether or not we can do that, I don't know, but that's what I would like to see. I think that's our strongest midfield.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think if Alzate can be able to get some minutes, not only get some minutes, but get his match fitness on point,
Yeah.
then I think it's him. But, I think right now he's still betting in. He's still, trying to get his match fitness in, and Muyumba has been the guy in between. So whether it's Muyumba and Schleich or it's Alzate and in Schleich, you'll kind of have some similarities, but I think it'll be.
Tristan had a rough game last time.
Yeah, and I think that's
So
really where it might come to. So either it's him, Riley, if he gets some minutes. I mean, that's the thing. Riley against FC Cincy, I think did quite well, and I wouldn't be scared to have him face a very strong side either. So yeah, it could go a lot of different permutations, but it seems like Schleich probably is the definitely the guy that will be in there.
One of our staff writer, Nick, he's got him picked as like the best player on our team of this year.
Which probably decent shout. Also, this season not hard, but yes, indeed. Okay, and Moranchuk in the hole, or who do you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Moranchuk.
And with the wingers, I think that's going to be a really good question too. Who is going to start at right wing and left wing for you?
I think they go back to Miguel Almiron. I only think that they changed last time because they had to. But I mean, yeah, I guess. So yeah, I guess do we know availability about our striker core right now?
Not yet. So all we know that is ELL, he was dealing with a hamstring last match. I don't think that they can come back that quickly usually in one match.
Yeah.
But stranger things could have happened. Jamal Thierry, maybe not fully match fit, but yeah, he probably could have saw some minutes, but obviously didn't. And then Kemo Togashi. So yeah, he was able to.
I mean, it might be Miguel on the right, and then Jamal starting, and maybe a Cayman substitution if Jamal is up for it. If not, we might see Miguel back at the false nine. That would kind of surprise me a bit, but again, like he was kind of hamstrung. He had to do that last time, and he might have to do it again. But I think those are the two options that they'll probably see. One of those two.
Yeah, probably makes the most sense. It's basically Saba on either one of those wings, and then Brennan might see some minutes if Miggy is up top. If not, Brennan's probably not the winger. But so yeah, probably TRA up top for me as well. But that gets us to the score prediction. What do you got, man?
I mean, if our offense continues to be like as useless as a wheelchair with pedals, I feel like we're not going to score anything. So I feel like we're going to be at like a 0-2, and that's probably generous. So I feel like we're losing 0-2, and then I'll put parentheses at least, but hopefully it stops there. And if Jaden is in the net, mercifully, hopefully it stops there.
Oof, yeah. Okay. I think somehow it's a 2-1 loss. And I don't know where the goal's coming from. No idea.
It's going to be a Moranchuk worldie. It's got to be.
It's got to be. I think that's probably our best bet at this point because
it's run a play or like a lucky penalty shout. Like,
yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, think about it. Like we were talking about this in Discord today even. All of Atlanta United wins this year, apart from I think one that I can think of, were wins by basically like the skin of our teeth luck.
Yeah, or at least
all of them,
keeping them.
Three, and then And then one of
away.
them was,
Yeah.
I think we actually legit won. But like the other three, they're pretty much all lucky, and we could see, you know, a goal or so out of luck from here as well.
Right, and yeah, we will need it. That's for sure. By all accounts, we will.
I don't think it's gonna matter, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just really more in the sense of some sort of aura building, some, you know, some sort of like feel good vibes, and I think we need it. And you know, Nashville, you don't need this win. You don't need these points. It's fine. You guys are okay. Like we need these points way more than you do. So just you know, let a few errors happen.
Just do us a solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do your neighbors to the south a little bit more of a solid, and you know, we'll talk good about your barbecue. All right. But but yeah, so 2-1 loss for me, 2-0 loss for Michael. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments below. But guys, that pretty much is the episode there and there, except for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, will Hibbert get a run of games? Let us know in the comments below what you think. Looking forward to what you have to say. Or do you think that Guzan is going to gazump him again? But let us know. But yeah, guys, that's it for us today. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's been Michael. I've been AJ. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.